This is a weird way to start the review, but if this movie were a Marvel villain, it would probably be Thanos, because in the days and 2 years leading up to the release of this movie, all I could think of was, I am inevitable. Hey everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson. Welcome to the channel. This is my review for Minions, The Rise of Gru, which is the sequel to 2015's mega hit, Minions, and is the 5th Despicable Me movie overall. The movie takes place in 1976, 8 years after the events of the first movie, where the Minions have finally been adopted, I guess, or hired. Does Gru pay his minions? Well, I guess that's why they're called Minions, so he doesn't have to pay them. The point is, they're with Gru now, who is 11 years old. He wants to try to be a part of this supervillain league that he's a mega fan of, the Vicious Six, because there's an opening available. Unfortunately, when he goes for his interview, they're not impressed just because he's a little kid, and they just say, "You're a little kid, come back later when you've done something to impress us." So in retaliation, I guess, he steals this sacred jewel behind them and gets away. So now the Vicious Six are after Gru, and Gru's plan is to pretty much give the jewel back so the Vicious Six can let him back into the group. Which the real way this should play out is that he steals the gem, gets away from them, the Vicious Six hunt him down easily and said, "You stole from us. Welcome aboard." But things don't work out that way, because the Vicious Six has no intention of hiring him for what he just did, and to make matters even worse, one of his idiot minions, who was in charge of protecting this jewel, traded it for a pet rock with googly eyes. So Gru has been captured, and it's up to the 3 minions from the previous film, Kevin, Stuart, and Bob, I honestly don't know who is who, to save Gru. I've honestly got nothing to say about this movie. Okay, there's more review to it, but what I mean by that is this is one of the most bland and uninspired movies I've seen in a long time, and that says a lot considering how Illumination's movies are usually pretty bland and uninspired. And it's a shame, because this series actually started out with a lot of potential, I think. The first Despicable Me from 2010, I still like. I think it's a pretty charming movie, and I actually like Despicable Me 2 more than the original. And it turns out I'm one of the few people who thinks it's better than the original. So, 2 movies in, I'm like, this is fun, this is cute, it's nothing grand or amazing or Pixar level, but it's charming for what it is. But then Minions came out in 2015, and I suddenly realized that these little guys only work when they're in a smaller role. And unfortunately, they've dominated the franchise. And that movie, in my opinion, has set the tone for the rest of Illumination going forward. That movie made $1 billion worldwide. Despicable Me 3 also made $1 billion. And that movie was really bland and uninspired. And every movie that has come out since then has been safe, uninspired, and just lacking in creativity. I have to admit though, I have not seen either Sing movie, but considering that the concept is pretty much, here's a bunch of singing animals and it's like American Idol, that turned me off from watching them. I just thought to myself, you took the worst thing I hate in any animated movie where the characters have a big dance number and you made a whole movie out of it. Why would I think this would be good? But maybe one day I'll see those movies and give them a shot, because I'm always open-minded. And I wanted to be open-minded about this movie as well, because I thought, you know what? It's been 2 years since we first saw this trailer. The world is pretty much a turd storm right now, especially America. So maybe I need a little goofiness in my life. Maybe the Minions will do just that, because sometimes they're just so silly that I kind of like them. But no, that unfortunately was not the case with this movie. And the weird part is that this movie isn't even awful or offensive. It's just aggressively mediocre. That's the best way I can sum up Minions: The Rise of Gru. The last trailer for this movie before it came out pretty much told you the entire movie, much like the trailers for F9 or Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. But if somehow you've managed to avoid that particular trailer and you only saw the one that came out 2 years ago, you could pretty much predict where this movie is going to go. It doesn't have a single ounce of imagination or cleverness put into it. Oh, this movie takes place in the 70s. Okay, well, you don't really do much to emphasize that. I mean, sure, Taraji P. Henson's character is dressed like a character in a blaxploitation movie, but that's surface level. Okay, Jaws is playing in movie theaters, and Gru throws a fart grenade in there to scare the patrons. That's about it. And by the way, Jaws came out in 1975. This movie takes place in 1976. So clearly you screwed up on that. And also, a minion hums the Close Encounters theme. And that movie came out a year after the setting of this movie. And the movie looks the same as the others. Much like with the first Minions movie, it doesn't feel like that time period. There's nothing about it that really indicates, yeah, this is a different time period. This is 50 years in the past. The only true thing about this movie that screams 70s is the soundtrack. And the soundtrack only exists, granted there are some good songs, but it only exists to have the minions break out into dance numbers occasionally throughout the movie. It's a giant marketing ploy. And that's pretty much what the first Minions was, and most of Illumination's filmography. The jokes are lame, whether it's a bunch of cringeworthy puns or jokes that are just straight out stolen from other animated properties. If you've seen any of the TV spots, you know that there's a scene in the movie where Gru and the Minions are at a gym. They're not exercising, but they're outside the windows eating ice cream in front of a bunch of people exercising on those bikes. And I'm like, The Simpsons already did that joke, and it was funnier there. And in terms of the puns, there's a villain in this movie, part of the Vicious Six, that is named Jean-Claude because he has a lobster claw. And the voice actor playing this character is Jean-Claude Van Damme. Really? You couldn't be any more uninspired than that? Really, movie? I can hear some of you right now saying, oh, but it's for kids. That's not an excuse. If you're trying to give me that answer as a reasoning why this movie is as bland as it is, that's not an excuse. You could make the same argument for Pixar movies, but those are incredible. And I know there's a handful of people out there that don't like Lightyear, but Lightyear, at the very least, had some cleverness to it. There was actually an idea going into it. Whether it was well executed is up for debate, but at least it did something different from the Toy Story movies. And look, I get that every animated film does not have to live up to the quality of Pixar. I mean, take a look at DreamWorks. They make a lot of movies that are really bad. Okay, maybe not a lot, but some of them are bad. But the good ones are really good, like Shrek, Shrek 2, How to Train Your Dragon and its sequels, Kung Fu Panda and its sequels, most recently The Bad Guys. So when they make a really good movie, it fires on all cylinders. And speaking of Kung Fu Panda, the producer of this movie and the founder of Illumination has said that this is a homage to 70s martial arts films. And when you watch it, it's surface level because the minions are dressed like Bruce Lee in that yellow jumpsuit, and the martial arts stuff feels like an afterthought. It just feels like something that comes in so late in the film. And when you compare that to Kung Fu Panda, that movie, you could tell the filmmakers in that clearly did their research on martial arts films and the movies of the Shaw brothers. I don't know if I have anything else to say about Minions: The Rise of Gru. It didn't make me angry, but it's just so uninspired, so lazy, that I gotta say, don't waste your money on it. I am honestly flabbergasted at the people saying that this is actually pretty good. Some people out there are saying, look, I don't like these Minions movies, but this one I actually kind of like. Or, well, it's not good, but it's the best one. And I'm like, you're gonna have to explain that to me, because okay, maybe I don't hate this as much as the first Minions movie, but it's just so tiring. Like, I just can't get on board with this series anymore. I will not apologize for liking those first two Despicable Me movies and the Minions within them, but Illumination really has to step up their game. I'm not saying copy Pixar or copy DreamWorks or even what Walt Disney Animation is doing, but at least do something inspiring or creative. If I had any good things to say about the movie, I've always admired Illumination's business strategy on how they don't really spend over $100 million to make these movies. This movie cost $80 million to make, as opposed to Lightyear, which cost $200 million. And the animation in this movie is right up there with Pixar standards. I at least applaud them for making these movies look as good as they are, considering that they don't cost over $100 million. It's much like with Blumhouse, how they don't spend a whole lot of money, but you can tell that the production value's there. So I applaud Illumination in that level, and the animation is certainly good, but everything else in terms of the writing and cleverness, it's not terrible, it's just so painfully average. And there you go, that's my review for Minions: The Rise of Gru. I hope you enjoyed it, and now I want to know what you guys think about the movie. If you've seen it, what did you think? Whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments below, and until next time, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there is only one. Hello everyone, I just wanted to say thank you all for watching my review for Minions: The Rise of Gru. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button to get notifications. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, go check out my Twitch channel, and support me on Patreon. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day and take care of yourselves.